What if the person cleaning your office floor was actually the most brilliant lawyer you'd ever meet? What if everything you thought you knew about power, justice, and second chances was about to get flipped upside down? Stay with me, because what you're about to hear will shake everything you believe about who deserves a voice in this world. A courtroom packed wall to wall. Cameras everywhere. Reporters scribbling frantically. And right there at the defense table sits a woman worth billions, completely alone. Her entire legal team? Gone. Vanished. Like they never existed. The judge is about to rule against her by default when suddenly, from the back of the room, a voice cuts through the chaos like a lightning bolt. "I will protect her." Everyone turns. And standing there, mop in hand, wearing a maintenance uniform, is a man nobody expected. A man nobody even noticed. The entire room freezes. Some people start laughing. Others look confused. But this man? He doesn't flinch. He's already lived through worse than their mockery could ever deliver. Now here's where it gets wild. This isn't some random janitor trying to play hero. This man used to be one of the most feared lawyers in Manhattan. A legal genius who never lost the cases that mattered. Someone who fought his way to the top despite every obstacle society threw at him. And then one day it all came crashing down. Everything stripped away. Career destroyed. Reputation shattered. Left with nothing but a mop and a bucket. 15 years he spent invisible. 15 years cleaning the same courtrooms where he once commanded respect. Watching justice happen around him while nobody remembered his name. But on this particular morning, something inside him snapped awake. Because he recognized what was happening to this woman. He'd seen this playbook before. And he wasn't going to let them win again. Let me take you back to where this all started. Early morning in New York. Before the sun even thinks about rising. The city's still dark, still quiet, and there's this man leaving his tiny apartment in Queens. We're talking about a place so small you can touch both walls at the same time. One bed. A hot plate. Bare walls except for 2 photographs that tell his entire story. His late wife, taken by cancer years ago. And his daughter, now grown, living a life he sacrificed everything to give her. His name is Darnell Thompson. 45 years old. Gray starting to show in his close-cropped hair. Deep brown eyes that have seen too much pain but refuse to look away. And hands. Oh man, those hands. Calloused from years of gripping mop handles, scarred from chemicals and hard work. Hands that once held legal briefs worth millions now hold cleaning supplies. Every morning, same routine. Up at 4. No lights because electricity costs money he doesn't have. Black coffee, nothing fancy. Toast if he's lucky. Then out the door into the darkness, heading to the Manhattan Federal Courthouse where he's worked maintenance for longer than he cares to remember. $2,800 a month. That's what he makes. Every penny counted. Every dollar stretched as far as humanly possible. Because he's got a daughter in college, and even though she tells him not to send money, he does anyway. That's just who he is. This particular morning feels different somehow. Maybe it's the way the autumn light hits the marble floors he's buffing to a shine. Maybe it's the energy crackling through the building. Something big is happening today. The kind of case that brings out every reporter in the city. The kind that makes or breaks careers. Victoria Sinclair versus the world. That's essentially what it is. She's this tech billionaire, 38 years old, worth $14 billion on paper. Created some revolutionary technology that could change everything. Quantum computing that works at room temperature. Sounds like science fiction, right? But she actually did it. Built it from nothing in an apartment barely bigger than a closet, living on student loans and pure stubbornness while everyone told her it was impossible. And now she's being accused of stealing the whole thing. Corporate theft. A company called Titan Innovations claims she ripped off their research, stole their designs, slapped her name on it. The lawsuit's asking for everything. Her company, her patents, her reputation, her entire life's work. Darnell knows about the case because he's been cleaning that courtroom for weeks during the preparation. He's heard the lawyers talking when they think nobody's listening. That's the thing about being invisible. People say things around you they'd never say otherwise. He's heard the strategy sessions, the settlement discussions, the private conversations that were supposed to stay private. And something about all of it stinks. But what's he supposed to do? He's just the janitor. Nobody asks his opinion. Nobody even makes eye contact most days. He pushes his cart, does his job, goes home. That's the deal. Stay invisible, collect the paycheck, survive another day. Except today his supervisor sends him a message. Room 302 needs extra cleaning. VIP trial starting. Make it perfect. So Darnell goes back, runs his mop over those marble floors one more time, makes sure every surface gleams. He's buffing the judge's bench when the lawyers start filing in. Expensive suits. Designer briefcases. That particular brand of confidence that comes from charging thousands of dollars per hour. But something's wrong. The defense table is empty except for Victoria herself. 6 chairs reserved for her legal team, every single one vacant. Darnell checks the clock. 9:15. Trial starts in 15 minutes. Where are they? Victoria's on her phone, calling frantically. Each time she hangs up, her face gets a little paler. Her hands shake a little more. Darnell recognizes that look. He's worn it himself. That's the face of someone watching their world collapse in real time. The judge enters. Older woman, stern expression, seen everything twice. She glances at the empty chairs and you can see her already making calculations. This isn't good. This isn't how things are supposed to work. Miss Sinclair, where is your legal team? Simple question. Devastating answer. Victoria stands, trying so hard to keep it together. I don't know, Your Honor. They were here yesterday. I've been calling all morning. Nobody's answering. And right there Darnell sees it. The prosecutor, this woman named Rebecca Hayes, she's smiling. Not a nice smile. A shark smile. The smile of someone who knows they've already won. Your Honor, clearly the defense has been abandoned. We request a default judgment. The courtroom erupts. Reporters typing like their keyboards are on fire. Everyone talking at once. Judge about to rule. And Victoria Sinclair, this billionaire who supposedly has everything, is about to lose it all because her own lawyers ghosted her. That's when something breaks inside Darnell. Or maybe something fixes. Hard to tell the difference sometimes. All he knows is he can't stand there and watch this happen. Not again. Not when he knows what's really going on. Not when he has the power to do something about it. I will protect her. His voice doesn't shake. Doesn't waver. Just cuts through all that noise like he's making the simplest statement in the world. 3 words that change everything. Every head in that courtroom whips around. And there he is. Darnell Thompson in his maintenance uniform, mop still in hand, standing in the back like some kind of working-class superhero nobody ordered. People start laughing. Can't help it. The janitor wants to be a lawyer? It's absurd. It's ridiculous. It's the kind of thing that shouldn't even be possible. But Darnell doesn't move. Doesn't apologize. Just sets that mop down real carefully and starts walking up the aisle. 20 years of mopping floors haven't changed the way he carries himself. You can still see it underneath everything. The posture of a man who once owned courtrooms like this. Who once made opposing counsel sweat just by standing up. Who are you? The judge asks. Fair question. My name is Darnell Thompson, Your Honor. I'd like to represent Miss Sinclair. Rebecca Hayes actually laughs out loud. A janitor wants to be a lawyer? Your Honor, this is absurd. Darnell meets her eyes. Calm. Steady. I was a member of the New York Bar Association for 18 years. The room goes quiet. Different kind of quiet. The kind where everyone's suddenly paying attention in a whole new way. Darnell pulls out his wallet. Old, worn leather, held together more by habit than stitching. Inside there's a card. His bar license. Still valid. Somehow impossibly, after everything still valid. The judge examines it. Her expression shifts. Mr. Thompson, how long has it been since you practiced law? 15 years, Your Honor. You could hear a pin drop. 15 years. That's not a gap, that's a canyon. That's a lifetime. That's long enough for everything about the legal system to change twice over. And you believe you're still competent? Here's where most people would backtrack. Would hedge. Would give themselves an out. But Darnell doesn't do any of that. Your Honor, this woman deserves a defense. I know the law. I understand procedure. And I know what justice actually means. Victoria's standing now, staring at this man she's walked past every single day for who knows how long. Never noticed him. Never saw him. He was furniture. Part of the building. And now he's offering to save her life. She looks into his eyes. Really looks. And whatever she sees there makes her decision easy. Yes, Your Honor. I accept Mr. Thompson as my attorney. The courtroom absolutely loses it. Judge rubbing her temples like she's got the world's worst migraine. Reporters screaming questions. Other lawyers looking around like they're in some kind of alternate reality. You have 15 minutes to confer with your client, the judge finally says. Don't make me regret this. Darnell walks toward the defense table. Security guard steps in front of him. Sorry, only attorneys allowed. Darnell just holds up his card. The judge nods. Guard moves aside looking like he just saw a ghost. When Darnell sits down next to Victoria, the weight of every eye in that room presses down on them. But he ignores all of it. Focuses only on her. Something's very wrong here, he whispers. This isn't just your lawyers abandoning you. This is planned. This is coordinated. Victoria leans in. How do you know? Because I've been watching cases in this building for 15 years. I've seen thousands of them. And this? This doesn't happen naturally. Someone orchestrated this. Who? We're going to find out. But first, I need you to tell me everything. And I mean everything. So Victoria starts talking. 15 minutes to compress 3 months of legal preparation. She tells him about her technology, this quantum processor that works at room temperature. Something that should be impossible, but she made it real. She talks about Titan Innovations, the company suing her. About the 3 months since this started. Stock price crashing. Media tearing her apart. Everyone she trusted turning their backs. Darnell doesn't take notes. Doesn't need to. He just listens with this intensity that makes Victoria realize he's not just hearing words. He's reading between them. Understanding what she's not saying. Picking up on every hesitation, every pause, every moment where her voice changes. Time's up, the clerk announces. Judge Monroe strikes her gavel. Mr. Thompson, your opening statement. Darnell stands. Walks to that podium. And for the first time in 15 years, he's exactly where he belongs. The stares don't matter. The whispers don't matter. The doubt and mockery and disbelief. None of it matters. Because he's got the truth on his side. And truth is the only weapon he's ever needed. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, he begins. Voice clear. Calm. Absolute. My name is Darnell Thompson. I want to apologize for my appearance. I'm not wearing an expensive suit like the prosecutor. I don't have a big firm behind me or a team of assistants. Less than an hour ago, I was mopping this floor. Some people laugh. Soft, uncomfortable laughter from the back. Darnell hears it. Acknowledges it. Doesn't let it touch him. But for 15 years, I've stood in this room every single day, watching justice happen. I've seen truth win. I've seen truth get buried. And I've learned something important. Justice doesn't care about your suit or your law firm or how much money you have. Justice cares about one thing only. The truth. He pauses. Lets that sink in. And the truth is simple. Victoria Sinclair didn't steal anything. She created something extraordinary through her own brilliance and hard work. Meanwhile, the people truly trying to steal are using this courtroom as their weapon. The prosecutor jumps up. Objection. This is argument, not an opening statement. Sustained, the judge says. Mr. Thompson, stick to facts. Darnell nods. My apologies, Your Honor. The evidence will speak for itself. And I promise you this. By the end of this trial, you'll know exactly who's telling the truth. And who's lying. He sits. It's not fancy. It's not polished. But it's real. And from the way a few jury members are nodding, he knows somebody's actually listening. Now the prosecutor, Rebecca Hayes. She's a different story. She stands up like she owns the place. Tall, sharp, wearing confidence like armor. Walks to that podium like it's her personal stage. Ladies and gentlemen, she purrs. This case isn't complicated. It's simple. Theft. Victoria Sinclair stole proprietary technology from Titan Innovations, a company that invested hundreds of millions developing quantum processors. She used her industry connections to access their research, copied their designs, filed patents in her own name. We'll prove this with documents, expert testimony, and accounts from her own former employees. By the end of this trial, there will be no doubt. Victoria Sinclair is a thief, and thieves must be held accountable. She sits down with the smile of someone who thinks they've already won. And maybe most times they would have. But most times, Victoria Sinclair wouldn't have Darnell Thompson in her corner. The prosecution calls their first witness. Some tech analyst who claims Victoria's design is too similar to Titan's internal records. Coincidence is impossible, he says. The math doesn't lie, he says. When it's time for cross-examination, Darnell stands. Every muscle in his body remembers this. 15 years away, but muscle memory runs deep. And suddenly it's like he never left. Questions flow naturally, one leading into the next, each one tightening the noose. He guides the witness through timelines, through access logs, through technical details the witness claims to have seen but couldn't possibly have accessed. And slowly, beautifully, the contradictions start piling up. The story falls apart. By the end of the day, Judge Monroe is looking at Darnell differently, with something that might be respect. Mr. Thompson, you might want to wear a proper suit tomorrow. I'll take care of it, Your Honor. But walking out of that courtroom, Darnell knows the truth. He can't afford a new suit. The only one he owns has been rotting in his closet for over a decade, and it hangs on him now like a hand-me-down after years of physical labor. Victoria catches him in the hallway. Mr. Thompson. He turns. This time he really sees her. Not as a billionaire. Not as a client. As a human being hanging on to hope by her fingernails. Thank you, she says quietly. I don't know why you're doing this, but thank you. Darnell shakes his head. Don't thank me yet. We've barely started. I need to see everything related to this case. Every document, every email, every schematic. If we're fighting, I need ammunition. Come to my place tonight. I've got everything there. I can't. I have my maintenance shift. Victoria blinks. A shift? But you're my lawyer now. And I'm also a janitor who needs to pay rent. The court isn't paying me. This is pro bono. Free. Which means I work, or I don't eat. For the first time, Victoria understands the distance between their worlds. She's used to paying $6,000 an hour for lawyers like buying coffee. For him, missing one shift could mean lights getting shut off. I'll pay you, she says immediately. No. Firm. Final. If this was about money, I wouldn't be here. I'm doing this because it's right. But I'll come after my shift. Is midnight too late? Midnight is perfect. They both understand. The real war is just beginning. Midnight finds Darnell parking his beat-up Toyota outside Victoria's mansion. Still wearing his janitor uniform, still smelling like industrial cleaner after 8 hours of mopping and scrubbing. No time to go home and change. And honestly, what would he change into? This is who he is. The guard at the gate was told to expect him, but the look on the man's face says everything. The car's wrong. The clothes are wrong. The whole picture is wrong. A black man in a maintenance uniform pulling up to this address at midnight. Darnell's seen that look his whole life. The look that questions whether he belongs. The look that assumes he doesn't. Another security guard escorts him inside. Not to help. To make sure he doesn't wander somewhere he shouldn't. To make sure he doesn't take anything. Because people like Darnell, they can't be trusted around nice things. That's the assumption that follows him like a shadow everywhere he goes. Victoria's waiting in her office. Still in her suit from court, jacket removed. Looking exhausted in a way sleep won't fix. The kind of tired that comes from fighting battles nobody else can see. Coffee, she offers. He nods. Needs the caffeine if he's staying awake. She pours from an espresso machine that probably costs more than everything he owns combined. The taste is rich, smooth. Nothing like the instant coffee he drinks every morning. It's good. But it's also a reminder of the gap between them. The distance measured in dollar signs. All right, Darnell sets the cup down. Tell me the real story. Not the version you told your lawyers. Not the version for reporters. The truth. Victoria sits. Stares into her coffee like it might hold answers she's been too scared to find. I started quantum dynamics 12 years ago. fresh out of MIT, obsessed with quantum computing. Everyone said stable quantum processing at room temperature was impossible. The qubits decay too fast. You need million-dollar labs and extreme cooling just to get close. Her eyes light up when she talks about her work. First time Darnell sees the real woman under all that armor. But I had an idea. What if instead of fighting the decay, we used it? What if the instability became part of the computation? She laughs. Small, bitter sound. They called me crazy. My professor said I was wasting my time. But I proved them wrong. 6 years working in an apartment the size of a closet, living on student loans. No funding, no lab. Just me and my laptop. She opens a safe hidden behind a painting, pulls out a folder. Here. My original research notes. Dated, notarized, everything. Proof I developed this before Titan even existed. Darnell opens it. Hundreds of pages. Equations, diagrams, handwritten notes. Raw. Real. Undeniable. Why didn't your previous lawyers use this? They said it wasn't necessary. Said they had a better strategy. Darnell closes the folder. Jaw tight. Not presenting your strongest evidence isn't strategy. It's sabotage. Victoria goes pale. You mean? I mean your lawyers were paid to lose. Only question is who paid them. They work until 3 in the morning. Going through every email, every memo, every schematic. And the pattern becomes clear. Evidence ignored. Witnesses not called. Objections at wrong times. Defense strategy designed to fail. Victoria's legal team wasn't incompetent. They were actively destroying her case from inside. Is there anything you haven't told me? Darnell asks. Anything strange in the past few months? Victoria hesitates. My assistant, Natalie Crawford. She copied files to a USB drive. Darnell's eyes narrow. And you didn't question it? I trusted her. She's been with me 5 years. In cases like this, nothing happens by accident. If she copied data, someone told her to. Tomorrow in court, no matter what I say or ask, don't react. No surprise, no corrections. Everything's part of the plan. Why? Because we're being watched. Maybe not right now, but somewhere. And every plan we make, assume they already know. Silence stretches between them. Victoria studies his face. You've been through this before. Long pause. So long she thinks he won't answer. Then, quietly, 15 years ago, I took a case against Pinnacle Energy Corporation. An engineer was blowing the whistle on safety violations. 3 workers died. I had evidence. But before trial, it vanished from my office. Victoria holds her breath. They said I fabricated it. Forged documents to hurt the company. I got suspended, then disbarred. Took 4 years to prove my innocence. 4 years working whatever jobs I could find. 4 years watching my daughter grow up without me really there. He pauses. Voice drops. And being a black man in that situation? Nobody gave me the benefit of the doubt. Nobody. They destroyed you, Victoria whispers. They tried. But they didn't take what mattered. My knowledge of the law. And that's something nobody can take from you either. When Darnell leaves at 4 in the morning, sky still dark, Victoria stands at the window watching his taillights disappear. First time in months she's felt something that feels almost like hope. Maybe, just maybe, she found the right person after all. Next morning, Darnell walks into court wearing a suit from the thrift shop. $20 he could barely spare. Not new, not fancy, but clean and pressed. Judge was right. Today he needs to look the part. Courtroom's packed. Story of the janitor turned lawyer spread like wildfire. Reporters crammed into every space. Some people even clap when he enters. Hesitant, unsure whether to cheer or mock. He ignores all of it. Eyes forward. Mind focused. Rebecca Hayes is ready. Deep wine red suit. Sharp eyes. The look of someone who thinks victory is already guaranteed. The prosecution calls Dr. Raymond Collins. Collins takes the stand. 50s, wire-rim glasses, polished academic air. For 20 minutes, Hayes lets him build a story where he developed the core algorithms and Victoria stole the credit. Darnell sits still, taking notes. Expression blank. But inside he's assembling the puzzle. Timelines, claims, inconsistencies. None of it adds up. When his turn comes, Darnell rises, carrying a thin file, walking to the podium with calm that silences the room. Dr. Collins, you testified you developed quantum dynamics core algorithms from January through March 2021. Correct. That's correct. Please help me clarify something. Darnell lifts a document. This is your employment record. Would you read your start date for the court? Collins glances down. Color drains from his face. April 21st, 2021. Sorry, I didn't catch that. April 21st. Louder. Shaking. So you couldn't have developed algorithms between January and March because you weren't employed yet. Ripple of shock through the courtroom. Darnell holds up another document. And here are server logs from Quantum Dynamics. Show the core algorithms were completed March 15th, 2021, more than a month before you were hired. Care to explain how you contributed to a project that existed before you did? Hayes jumps up. Objection. We didn't receive this document. Your Honor, these came directly from Quantum Dynamics' own systems. If they failed to review available evidence, that's not my fault. Objection overruled. Proceed. Collins's hands shake. Darnell fixes him with a stare. Dr. Collins, one final question. Did you receive a payment of $300,000 from Titan Innovations 2 weeks before testifying today? Collins freezes. That was... Yes or no, doctor? I was compensated for my time and expertise. $300,000 for false testimony. Sounds more like a bribe than compensation. Room erupts. Darnell turns to the judge. Your Honor, I move to enter evidence of this transaction and request the witness be charged with perjury. Gasps. Shouts. Reporters typing frantically. Courtroom feels like it detonated. And for the first time since trial began, Darnell sees something beautiful. Fear in Rebecca Hayes' eyes. They never expected a janitor to know how to tear their case apart. After the hearing, Darnell and Victoria exit into a forest of cameras. Reporters screaming questions. Flashes like lightning. Darnell keeps his head down, hand light on Victoria's back, guiding her through the chaos. Only when the taxi door closes, blocking the noise, does Victoria breathe. How did you know about the payment to Collins? Darnell opens his old canvas briefcase. I didn't know for sure. But in cases like this, money always leaves trails. I guessed. His reaction confirmed it. You bluffed. Almost. After I saw his face, I had someone double-check. He pulls out his phone. My daughter Jasmine. Works in digital marketing, but she's brilliant at finding information. Since I told her about this case, she's been investigating. Phone buzzes. New message from Jasmine. Dad, I found something big. Call me. Darnell looks up. We need to meet my daughter. Right now. Hour later, they're in a small cafe in Queens. Foreign territory for Victoria. Cramped space, plastic chairs, cheap coffee mixed with frying oil smell. But private. No reporters, no cameras, no lawyers. This is Darnell's world, where he raised his daughter alone after losing his wife, where neighbors actually know each other's names. Jasmine Thompson walks in. Darnell stands awkwardly, like a father unsure if he still has the right to hug his daughter. Jasmine hesitates, then steps forward. Quick hug. Slightly stiff, but real. She's 20. Long braided hair. Warm brown skin like her father. Eyes carrying the same quiet determination. Jeans, simple shirt, expensive laptop. Confident walk of someone who knows her worth. Dad. Then turning to Victoria. And you must be Victoria Sinclair. I'm Jasmine. They shake hands. Victoria notices the contrast. Her soft, maintained hands meeting Jasmine's practical, work-built hands. A young woman who built her life from nothing. Jasmine opens her laptop. Okay, at first I wasn't sure what to look for. So I started with Titan Innovations. On the surface, they're clean. Venture-funded startup, tidy corporate history. She scrolls through documents. But when I dug into ownership structure, things got weird. Titan's owned by a shell company in Delaware. That company's owned by another in the Cayman Islands. And that company, she pauses, is owned by Pinnacle Energy Corporation. Darnell freezes. Pinnacle Energy? You know them. They're the company that destroyed my career 15 years ago. Jasmine stares. They'd never truly talked about it. What happened? Who was behind it? Growing up, she only knew her father, once a successful lawyer, lost everything. Watched him rebuild one paycheck at a time. Never complaining. Never explaining. It was them all along, she whispers. Victoria leans forward. But why would an energy company care about my technology? At first I didn't get it either. Then I read more about your tech. She turns the laptop. It's not just computing. If you can stabilize qubits at room temperature, the energy applications. She pulls up a scientific article. Are game-changing. MIT professor wrote that your technology could revolutionize energy storage and conversion. Could make fossil fuels obsolete within 20 years. 20 years, Victoria repeats, each word heavier than the last. And Pinnacle Energy makes $28 billion a year from coal, oil, and gas. If your technology works as published, they don't just lose profit. They lose their entire empire. Darnell leans back, pieces clicking into place. That's why they didn't try to buy you out or compete. They needed to erase you. Erase your technology. Erase your credibility. But more than that, Jasmine continues. I kept digging. Pinnacle Energy has ties to 4 other major energy conglomerates, 2 defense contractors, and another pause. 3 sitting members of the Energy and Commerce Committee. She pulls up more documents. Campaign contributions. Fundraising dinners. Lavish trips. They built a network. When your technology appeared, they activated the whole thing. What about the lawyers? Victoria asks. Voice cracking. Still tracing it. But the managing partner at Chambers, Montgomery & Webb, he sits on the board of a Pinnacle Energy subsidiary. Information isn't easy to find, but it's there if you know where to look. Darnell stands, pacing the cramped cafe. Mind racing. So this isn't just a lawsuit. It's a coordinated campaign to clear the path for a trillion-dollar industry. And they won't stop, Victoria says. Fear visible now. If they did this to you 15 years ago, if they can manipulate to this extent. She doesn't finish. Doesn't need to. They all understand. Jasmine's phone buzzes. She glances at it. Face strains. My old boss says I don't need to come back to the office. My belongings will be mailed. They fired you? Victoria asks. On paper, position eliminated. But the timing says everything. Darnell places a hand on his daughter's shoulder. I'm sorry, Jasmine. Never wanted to pull you into this. Jasmine looks up. Eyes steady. You didn't pull me anywhere. I chose this. And now that I'm in, I'm helping you fight. Small smile crosses her face. Mom always said Thompsons don't back down. Remember? Darnell's heart tightens. Michelle used to say that. Whenever he faced tough cases. Whenever life pushed back. Thompsons don't back down. For the first time in years, he doesn't see Jasmine as the child who lost her mother. He sees an ally. A partner. All right, he exhales, sealing the decision. Then we do this together. In the days that follow, the threats stop being vague feelings. They become razor-sharp reality. Darnell's apartment gets broken into. Nothing stolen. Nothing valuable to take. But everything torn apart. Closet yanked open. Drawers dumped. Mattress slashed with a long, deep cut. Message clear as day. We know where you live. Jasmine's laptop gets hacked. Thankfully, she'd backed up everything to encrypted cloud storage. But the fact someone deliberately breached her device, did it blatantly, sends chills down her spine. Then one night, Victoria leaves the office late. Black SUV runs a red light, speeds straight at her car. Her driver swerves. Car spins, crashes into a lamppost, avoiding head-on collision. Victoria escapes with scrapes and bruises. But the message is carved in stone. She's a target. Emergency meeting at Victoria's mansion next morning. You need to get out of your apartment, Darnell. Jasmine, both of you need to move here. Where I have real security. We can't just live in your home, Darnell begins. Clearly uncomfortable. This isn't a favor. This is defensive strategy. They're attacking us separately. If we stay together with professional security, we're safer. Jasmine places a hand on her father's arm. She's right, Dad. How am I supposed to work if I'm worrying someone will break in every night? Reluctantly, Darnell agrees. That afternoon, they move into the guest house on Victoria's estate. Smaller, separate building, but still bigger than anywhere Darnell's ever lived. Jasmine excitedly explores the rooms. Darnell remains in the living room. Back straight, hands unconsciously tight. High ceilings, designer furniture, expensive paintings. All of it makes him feel like an ink stain on a perfect canvas. He stares through glass doors at the meticulously trimmed garden. Hard to believe 48 hours ago he was in an apartment barely big enough to turn around in. Victoria enters. Stops beside him. You're uncomfortable. Lived 15 years in a small apartment. And this place? This isn't my world. Victoria stands quiet beside him, giving him time to breathe. Then speaks gently. Maybe it should be your world. You have talent, strength, Mr. Thompson. You could have been in a place like this, or better, if they hadn't taken everything from you. Darnell turns toward her. For the first time since they met in that courtroom, he truly sees Victoria. Not as a client. Not as a billionaire. As a woman fighting for justice alongside him. Her blue eyes, though tired, gleam with something rare. Genuine respect. I don't need any of this. Never did. I want justice. Want to help people who have no voice. After all these years, I finally have a chance to do that again. By helping me. By fighting those who believe money and power put them above the law. They stand silently. Afternoon sunlight filtering softly through the large glass wall. Distance between their worlds, janitor turned lawyer and billionaire tech founder, still there. But in that moment, it doesn't feel impossible. Something's shifted. Not because of words. Because they're standing side by side facing a common enemy. In that silence they know. The real battle's only just begun. Next major breakthrough comes from a place nobody expected. 2 a.m. Natalie Crawford, Victoria's longtime assistant, appears at the gate. Face pale. Clothes disheveled. Hair wild like she's been out all night. Security immediately alerts Victoria. She hurries to wake Darnell. They meet Natalie in a small room separate from the main house. Safety measure in case this is a trap. Natalie nearly collapses when she sees Victoria. Makeup smeared with tears. Hands trembling violently. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. For what? Victoria's voice sharp as steel. Natalie takes a deep breath. For everything. For copying files. For passing information to them. For staying silent when I knew what they were doing to you. Who is they? Darnell asks. Bradley Mercer, CEO of Titan Innovations. He came to see me 6 months ago. Knew about my mistake. What mistake? Natalie looks down at her hands. Too ashamed to lift her head. 10 years ago, before I worked for you, I worked at another company. Embezzled $50,000. Not a lot, but still a crime. Paid it back. Company didn't press charges. Thought it was over. But Mercer found out. He blackmailed you, Darnell says. Natalie nods. Tears spilling. He had documents. Emails. Bank statements. Everything. Told me if I didn't help him, he'd turn me in. I'd go to prison. So you chose to help him? Victoria's tone flat. I copied data. Told him your strategies. Even. Natalie chokes up. Even planted false information in some files to make it look like you accessed Titan research. Fabricated evidence, Darnell says darkly. Exactly what they once did to me. Why come here now? Victoria asks. Gaze icy but with a trace of pity. Natalie pulls out a phone. Not hers. High-end model completely out of place. Darnell recognizes it immediately. This isn't Natalie's phone. Today I accidentally overheard Mercer on the phone. He told someone about a permanent solution if the legal route failed. She swallows hard. They were talking about killing you, Victoria. Room suddenly feels freezing. I know what I did was wrong. I know I betrayed you. But I can't live with this. Not with murder. She hands the phone to Darnell. This is Mercer's phone. I took it from his office. Has everything. Messages, emails, call recordings. The whole conspiracy. Darnell takes the phone. Feels like holding a grenade with the pin pulled. This could end the case, Jasmine says from the doorway. Arrived without anyone noticing. Or end us. If they realize she took it. Mercer will search for the phone by morning, if not sooner, Natalie whispers. He'll notice it's gone. That's why I came straight here. Victoria stares at Natalie for a long moment. This woman was by her side 5 years. Through stressful meetings, fundraising rounds, sleepless nights. Now she's the one who stabbed her in the back. But in those tear-filled eyes, Victoria sees not just fear. She sees remorse. Real and deep. You risked your own safety to come here. I owe you more than that. You gave me a chance when no one else would. You trusted me and I betrayed that. This is the least I can do. Darnell doesn't hesitate. We need to copy every piece of data immediately. Jasmine, can you do it? Give me 15 minutes. While Jasmine works, Darnell asks Natalie, you know they'll come looking for you, right? Natalie nods. I know. You need to disappear. At least until the case is over. I have a sister in Canada. I can go there. Go now. Don't go home. Don't pack. Go straight there. 20 minutes later, all data safely backed up onto Jasmine's encrypted server. In the darkness, Natalie leaves in a taxi, never looking back. Darnell watches the car until its taillights vanish, wondering if they were right to trust her. Whether she'll survive the night. Victoria stands beside him. Voice soft but steady. She truly is sorry. Sorry doesn't erase the damage. No. But courage can redeem it. She knew they would retaliate and still came here. Darnell draws a long breath. Jaw tight with iron determination. Now we have to use what she gave us. And we need to move fast. Because once they realize we have this evidence. He looks down at the phone. Live proof of a massive conspiracy. They'll come at us with everything they have. They don't have to wait long. Next morning, as Darnell, Jasmine, and Victoria review every piece of evidence inside Bradley Mercer's phone, the estate's security alarms abruptly scream. Breach at the main gate. The security director reports through the intercom. Multiple individuals. Armed. Victoria shoots to her feet. Lock down the entire property. Call the police. But as security screens switch angles, truth becomes unmistakable. 6 men in tactical uniforms. Fully equipped. Moving through the estate with precision of people who had clearly received military training. They're not police, Darnell says. Voice dropping. Mercenaries, says Henderson, head of security. Ex-military or private contractors. They know exactly what they're doing. We have to get out of here, Jasmine panics. But cameras show 2 more vehicles blocking the back exit. No escape route left. Henderson, formerly NYPD, now Victoria's security chief, makes an immediate decision. Safe room. Move now. He leads them across the house, down to the basement, unlocking a steel door hidden behind a wine cabinet. Inside a compact panic room. Reinforced concrete walls. Surveillance monitors. Direct hardline to 911. You'll be safe here. This door can withstand explosives. My team and I will hold them off as long as we can. Police are on their way. Earliest arrival is 15 minutes. We only need to survive 15. Door shuts behind them with a cold metallic clack. Inside the panic room, the 3 stare at surveillance screens. Mercenaries move like shadows. Silent, methodical, each step calculated. Henderson and 4 guards already in defensive positions. They're going to die, Jasmine whispers. Hands trembling. Those men are outgunned and outnumbered. Henderson knows how to fight, Victoria says, trying to sound steady. But her voice shakes. Then the gunfight begins. On the monitors, battle unfolds like a nightmare stripped of sound. Henderson and his team fight fiercely, using every corridor, every blind spot. But the intruders are professionals, moving with flawless formation. 1 guard falls. 1 mercenary goes down. But attackers keep advancing. They're heading for the basement, Darnell says. They know we're here. How? Victoria stops mid-sentence. Face draining. Natalie. She must have told them about the safe room. Or they had floor plans from day 1, Jasmine says quickly. Either way, they know. Darnell looks around the room. 1 door. No windows. No backup exit. No weapons. They're trapped inside a metal coffin waiting to be opened. On screen, a mercenary places a device on the basement door. They're planting explosives, Jasmine says, terror rising in her voice. Darnell dials 911. We're under attack at 247 Hudson Yards. Multiple armed assailants with explosives. We need immediate support. Nearest unit is 3 minutes out. Stay inside. 3 minutes. But the explosives would blow in less than 1. Victoria squeezes Darnell's hand. If this is how it ends. It isn't. He cuts her off. We've come too far. We don't end like this. Just as the device begins to blink, seconds from detonation, an unexpected image flashes onto the monitors. Police vehicles. Then more police vehicles. Then SWAT armored trucks. Not one or two, but nearly an entire strike force pouring into the estate. The mercenaries see it too. They halt. Exchange hand signals. Then retreat. Disappearing as quickly as they arrived. Leaving the explosive behind. Still untriggered. They're running. Jasmine almost screams in disbelief. 10 minutes later, SWAT secures the property. Disarms the device. Clears every structure. When the panic room door finally opens, Darnell, Victoria, and Jasmine step out. Faces pale, but alive. A tall man in an FBI jacket is waiting. Badge partially visible. Agent Daniel Foster. Miss Sinclair, Mr. Thompson, I'm glad you're safe. Victoria immediately asks, how did you get here so fast? We've been monitoring Bradley Mercer and his associates for weeks. When a taxi driver reported transporting a woman matching Natalie Crawford's description toward the Canadian border, we knew something major happened. We deployed a team immediately. Is she safe? Natalie. She's under protective custody in Canada. And she's agreed to testify in exchange for immunity. Darnell exhales. Years of weight releasing from his chest. So we have enough to bring them down. More than enough. Foster replies. Thin, controlled smile forming. We arrested Bradley Mercer, 3 Pinnacle Energy executives, and 6 other accomplices within the last hour. With the data from his phone, Crawford's testimony, and this attack, he straightens. Voice firm. They're going to prison for a very, very long time. Next morning, when Darnell steps into the courtroom, the atmosphere's completely changed. No longer curious stares treating him like a novelty. What replaces them is quiet respect from the reporters. Even the prosecution attorneys look drained. Like they just survived a battle they knew they could never win. Judge William Patterson, assigned after Judge Monroe recused herself due to conflict of interest, strikes his gavel to open the session. I'm aware there were significant developments overnight. Prosecutor Rebecca Hayes rises. Shoulders nearly collapsed. Your Honor, in light of the new arrests and the evidence presented this morning, the prosecution moves to dismiss all charges against Miss Sinclair. Courtroom explodes. Reporters shouting. Camera flashes bursting like lightning. Darnell remains seated, watching Hayes with a strange sense of sympathy. She too had been a pawn in a game far larger than she comprehended. Motion granted, Judge Patterson declares. Miss Sinclair, you are free. And Mr. Thompson. He pauses. Eyes lingering on Darnell. This court has never witnessed such a remarkable act in pursuit of justice. You deserve every recognition that will follow. As they walk out of the courtroom, Victoria turns to Darnell, tears shimmering in her eyes. We did it. We actually won. You won. You never gave up, not even when everything looked hopeless. Jasmine wraps her arms around both of them, breaking the solemnity. No, we won as a team. 2 months later, Darnell stands outside a building on 5th Avenue, looking up at the freshly mounted sign. Thompson and Thompson Law. Civil Rights and Anti-Discrimination. Jasmine stands beside him, holding a brand new law textbook. After everything she witnessed, she enrolled in law school. Decision born directly from the trial that changed their lives. You think we can really run this place? Jasmine asks. We can. We already have our first 3 clients. All of them people who were turned away because they couldn't afford an attorney. Jasmine smiles. Thanks to the Sinclair Legal Justice Fund. Victoria hadn't just founded the fund with an initial $15 million contribution. She rallied support from tech leaders across the industry who followed the trial closely. The fund would sponsor civil rights cases across America. As they enter the still empty office, Darnell hears heels behind him. Victoria stands at the door, holding a bottle of champagne. Thought we should celebrate a little. Jasmine understands immediately. I'll go look for some glasses. Might take a while. Then she slips away, leaving Darnell and Victoria alone in the quiet office. They stand side by side in the unfinished room, wrapped in the peace that follows a storm. I never properly thanked you, Victoria says softly, for standing up that day, for believing in me when everyone else turned their backs. There's nothing to thank. You gave me something I thought I'd lost forever. A purpose. Over the past 2 months, through investigations, press conferences, and work for the foundation, something shifted between them. Began as respect, then friendship. And now, standing here in gentle afternoon light streaming through the windows, it had become something deeper. Darnell. She calls him by his first name for the very first time. I know we come from 2 different worlds. I know people will talk. But I've realized the only thing that truly matters. What is it? He asks quietly. That the world doesn't matter. People's opinions don't matter. What matters is finding someone who understands you, stands beside you, and makes you better. She pauses, then continues in a whisper. And I found that person. Darnell's heart stalls. Since Michelle died 15 years ago, he never once allowed himself to love again. Buried the grief. Buried the hope. Buried the idea that he was worthy of another chance. But Victoria, who saw past the janitor's uniform, past the scars, broke through every wall. I live a completely different life. I have nothing but integrity, Victoria interrupts gently, and courage and kindness and a heart that knows how to fight for what's right. She touches his hand. I had money and success. What I didn't have was someone who saw me as a human being. Darnell looks down at their hands. One soft, one calloused. Different yet fitting together with impossible ease. Michelle was the love of my youth. I thought that part of my life was over. But maybe we're given more than one chance. If we're brave enough to take it. They stand in silence, so gentle it feels like the world paused outside. Then Darnell leans in. Slow, careful, tender. The kiss is a promise from 2 people who had been broken, lost so much, yet still found courage to hope again. Jasmine's voice suddenly echoes from the back room. I can't find any glasses. We might have to buy some. Darnell and Victoria burst into laughter. Private moment dissolving into warm ease. Come on, Victoria says, taking Darnell's hand. Let's show your daughter her new office. And maybe tonight the 3 of us can go out to dinner. I'd like that. Before stepping out, Darnell pauses at the door, looking once more at the sign. Thompson and Thompson Law. A new beginning. A second chance. No. He corrects himself silently. A second life. Listen. Darnell Thompson's story reminds us it's never too late to begin again. That justice isn't measured by wealth or status, but by courage and the unshakable will to fight back. That heroes come in many forms. Sometimes wearing cleaning gloves instead of tailored suits. He shows us failure isn't the end. That betrayal can be overcome. That even after the deepest losses, love can still find its way back. Most importantly, Darnell proves that every one of us has the power to stand up, to speak out, and to fight for what's right, no matter who tries to silence us. So here's my question for you. If you were in Darnell's position, what would you choose? Stable corporate job with a high salary? Or starting a new path to defend those who have no voice? Drop your answer in the comments. I genuinely want to know what you think. And if this story of perseverance and justice moved you, if it made you think about second chances and the power of standing up for what's right, do me a favor. Hit that like button. Subscribe so you don't miss the next extraordinary story about ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And share this video with someone who needs a reminder that one person standing up for what's right can change the world. Thank you for watching. Remember what Darnell showed us. Justice doesn't always wear an expensive suit. And love can bloom in the most unexpected places. Sometimes the person mopping the floor knows more about dignity and honor than everyone in the room wearing $1,000 suits. I'll catch you in the next one.